So I'm aware that this is probably going to piss a lot of people off, and it might seem a little bit ambiguous and vague, but I want you to know I say it with the most sincere sense of obligation, in a divine sense, and it must be said, although I've been avoiding it for a very long time. So here goes. I've said in another video that there is, if you have two incredibly archetypal narcissist codependent, and you're the psyche of a child watching that situation go down, and you're going, okay, dad's beating mom, mom's dealing with it, dad's cheating on mom, mom's dealing with it, and we're staying, we're begging him to stay actually, dad's doing things to me, mom stays. The psyche of this person has no choice, right? There's no option but this. It's, I must please the perpetrator, so I'm not perpetrated against. And I wish that everybody in the family would just please him, so we don't have to be hurt by him. And then there's in order for me to stay safe, I have to watch this all go down. I have to watch my mom get hit. I have to watch my mom be abused. I have to watch my family be abused. And I have to basically fend for myself. The only way to fend for myself is to betray my mother. Okay, and I want you to purely think about this from a psyche standpoint. And the psyche is, like this way, this patterning is like a blueprint that's going on in the mind, and it's densifying in all of the cells, okay? And I'm only going to take this back 2 generations, but it runs really deep down the number line. So you're seeing this pattern as a child. You grow up, you have a child. You don't know what to do with this child because nobody ever taught you. First of all, you didn't get to be a child. And being a child felt obligatory. You felt like a problem, and nobody ever actually taught you how to be a person. You had to figure that out on your own. So you have this child, and you are trying to teach them how to be a person, but you yourself don't really know how to be a person, and you're hot or cold, okay? Let's just stick to this. The psyche of that person is terrified of becoming the puddle of mush, of love and validation and being seen that it desires. It's absolutely terrified of that because it means that if it's seen, it's probably going to be hurt. And it just doesn't want to create more chaos, right? And then there's the other side of this that is, I am ice cold. I have to be ice cold in order to not be hurt, right? So anywhere in the middle of that absolute puddle and being a frozen block of ice instead of being like a river, anywhere in between that feels disconnected and not alive, okay? So you're growing up as a child in this environment. Your psyche wants so deeply to plug into the man. Let's just, in this case, specifically say that it was a man who was being the aggressor. And you wanted it to stop. So you wanted to people please this man. And you wanted desperately to plug in, but he wasn't there. And he couldn't see you. And you couldn't plug in. And you definitely couldn't plug in your mother because she was super plugged into him. She wasn't even there for herself, let alone for you. So there was nowhere to go. The psyche has nowhere to go. And then it has a child, which is kind of easy to plug into your child, right? And say that that child is you, present day. That child is me, present day. So the psyche only knows these patterns of cognitions, of this way of being that's hot and cold. How many of you were diagnosed with borderline or bipolar, right? And you just sometimes get crazy at your period, or you've been told you're just hot and cold. We oscillate between hot and cold because anywhere in the center feels peaceful. And peaceful feels not okay. You're going to wait for the other shoe to drop. Feels like you're betraying, actually, the pain. When I was a child, I used to pray, literally pray every single night, God, please put all the pain of the world on me. I'm strong enough to handle it. Just give it to me, right? When I have a good life, I have a good life, guys. And some days I wake up and I go, wow, there's still a cognition in me that feels like I'm betraying the people that I know right now are hurting, the people that are having insane monstrosities going on in their lives that they can't protect themselves. As an empath, I can empath with that pain, and I can empath with a person who's been in so much pain that they no longer have empathy. And you should be able to do that too. Okay, we should all be able to understand that this is what's going on, and that the psyche is, it's malleable. Okay, it can change. If you're in a codependent relationship with a narcissist, you're not going to be the one to make that change for them. But if you are the person who I'm talking to right now who goes, dude, I get this frequency, it's the only thing I know, it's the only thing I've been taught, is like hot and cold, save, but there's another part of you that's like, I want you to rot until I have to save you. And that was my mother through and through. And I was going, okay, I guess I need to be saved. Okay, I guess I need to rebel. Okay, like, she don't know what's going on. I didn't know what was going on. Okay, she's still operating at that 6-year-old space. When I graduated college, my aunt gave me the book Codependent No More, and it was at a time I definitely did not read. She knew that this whole entire family was codependent upon this godhead in the situation. He was an abusive, what would be considered a absolute narcissist. For his own reasons that he became that way, I do not know what they are. I am not going to get that far down the lineage number line. But when we grow up in that dynamic, and people constantly say to me, oh, I was raised by a narcissist too, when they read Imperfectly Sane, which if you haven't read Imperfectly Sane and I've added value to your life in any way, please go buy it, because it would help me tremendously. And if it added value to you, share it with somebody that you love who actually needs it. But they read the book and they go, I was raised by a narcissist too, which is fine. But what we don't understand is that in this case, and I think in a lot of cases, the narcissist is codependent upon someone even if they're dead. They're still seeking their validation. They're still in fear of their reign. They're still desiring of something that they never got from that person, that they never got to plug into in the first place. So sure, my mother appeared to me, from your view looking down, from her view looking down, whatever, somebody could say, yes, this person's a narcissist. But when I really objectively look at what was going on, she was absolutely codependent, and she desired me to be codependent too, to keep me safe. That was a mechanism for safety for her. And my, almost rebellion against her desire to keep me codependent is what triggered my entire career, and it's my life's work. So her mechanism for me was, in order for me to stay safe in the world, I had to basically become codependent like she did, because that was the mechanism that kept her safe. If I didn't do that, I was going to be out of line. I was going to get hurt, blah, blah, blah. I could see that as abuse. I could see it as enslavement. I could see it as whatever. And she was narcissistic toward me in the sense that she wasn't there, that she was totally non-empathetic. She would gaslight the shit out of me. She would make me feel absolutely insane and then save me from my own insanity. That was all there too, right? But that's all she knew. That's all she knew. And one of the things that I want to say is that I live in this world where I'm like, holy shit, I'm not in that anymore. Like, relationships that aren't purely based on trauma bonding and then drama bonding, they exist. And it's funny because I can look back and go, I'm like a little mad at some of the friends that I've tried to connect with through the years who wouldn't be in the engagement of the drama bond with me, who would not engage in my tendencies toward codependent relationships. And now I am so thankful that they're in my life, and they're still in my life. And those are real relationships, right? So, point is, that's all she knew. And that's all she knew how to teach. And actually, I didn't learn from her. And that's why I'm such an advocate for like getting at your kids' level and saying, this is what you should do. Don't scream at them from above them and say, don't do that. Like, get on their level and show them. You don't know how to teach. We don't know how to teach. I didn't know how to teach because I wasn't taught. That's not an excuse to not learn. Okay? It's not. And I think that this is where we have to understand these polar ends of the spectrum. Is that our work, if you're watching this, is to become center. That's it. If we look at the polarization of here's a narcissist, here's a codependent, somewhere along the line I operate on that spectrum. Holding the tension in the center, which is uncomfortable because it forces you to like face intimacy, speak your truth, not manipulate, to actually like be uncomfortably present with someone. That center place is wholeness, okay? And once we can get to that center place on that spectrum and feel confident enough to almost betray the spectrum, we're in our channel. And when we're in our channel, we can rise above the frequency and look at it and go, okay, I don't need to blame this person and say that this person's a narcissist. I don't need to figure out if I'm the codependent. I don't need this person to be the narcissist so I can be the codependent. I don't need to be any of these labels. I don't need to adhere to that whole story. And the story is a story. And I know that like being in that space, you're like, Stace, it's, God, when I was in it, it's like, fuck you. You have no idea what it's like to be in this shithole, right? You have no idea. People who don't get it. But what I'm here to say is, one, I get it. And two, that story, even though it's so deep in your subconscious, which is your body, and every cell in your body is operating on that frequency, when you can bring that frequency to center, you can be in the liberating and manifesting current of your spiritual nature. And when you can do that, you can rise above that frequency and you can see it for what it is. And there are chapters in your life that you've walked through that you can go, oh yeah, somebody could say I was a narcissist because I didn't fucking know better. And oh yeah, somebody could say I was a codependent because I absolutely wanted nothing more than to save everybody on the planet just so I could be good, just so I could be seen, right? Because that's the only way you're seen when you're a codependent is being the good person. You're a good girl, right? So I've been wanting to kind of say this and tap into this because our work is, sure, recognize if somebody has been narcissistic in your life, and if you have been harmed by them and you feel too plugged into them, get out of that situation. The way to get out of that situation is not to go, oh, they're the narcissist and I'm the codependent, because you polarize and then you're not center. And the work is, okay, if I want to stop attracting this into my life, even if I was raised on it and it is the cognitions I'm used to, I have to pull it tight in, center, and be center in these ways is the opposite of everything you've ever been, which is the ice, the hot and cold. It's like, okay, be in the flow. Okay, let that hit me. Okay, let that not hurt me. Okay, like you're not hiding behind this codependent almost like shield and going, okay, they're hitting me. No, we have to like come out on the battlefield. And this is the fun thing. Ready? We have to come all the way out to center and be willing to face the narcissist in ourselves. And when we operate like this, we have to see that. I heard the other day that how does it go? Just something along the lines of where one person sees a battle, the enlightened one sees cooperation among two sides. I know that it's hard to get out of this vibratory space. I know that you go, okay, I should want to leave, but I don't want to leave, and I love this person, but I fucking hate this person. I know that it's hard to get out of it. But it is true that if you can see it from above, you understand it's just cooperation of two sides. That battle that you felt was your battle is a cooperation. And when you pull center, and even if it's like, don't even use another person as your symbol for it, but you just pull, and if you need to, you can, whatever. But if you pull center and you go, okay, I'm going to face this. And what happens though is the codependent will chase the narcissist, and then you don't really know, like, they're not actually turning around to meet you until you like walk away, and then all of a sudden you're fucking center and you're going, what the hell? But in that, there's never any kind of connection, if you can see what I'm saying. Like, there's not this, okay, I'm going to meet you in the middle. I'm going to look right at you. I'm going to face you. I think that you are this way of being. And when we can go, okay, what is it about, in what ways do I myself either wish I could operate in that way of being, or simply think it's like normal that the world operates in that way of being? If you even have a belief that it's normal, you have to rise above it, because that relationship, although it has been normal for us in an external reality, and then becomes our normal internally, that's not necessarily normal. And we read Imperfectly Sane, but we as a being, I suppose, we don't feel comfortable in normal. Normal is boring. In Imperfectly Sane, I spoke of how I used to think that happy people didn't know shit. And then I became a happy person. And that was a blow to my identity, right? So I had to be willing to shatter the identity piece and to move into, okay, so if I'm constantly in this codependent narcissistic reality, then this is the frequency that I'm frequenting most often. And these are the relationships that I'm having. That means I myself am not comfortable being intimate with myself even, right? So we have to pull in both of these aspects of ourselves that we think are terrible about the codependent, terrible about the narcissist, and save ourselves by facing the inner narcissist. And that is, guys, I wouldn't be here today saying this to you if I didn't claim that for myself. I wouldn't be able to be centered enough. I'd want to be good. I would go, oh, I can't look like that because they're going to think that I'm being seen and that's not okay. I should go hide. Like, those things still come up in me. But I am central at this point. I can go, okay, because I'm standing here doesn't mean I'm a narcissist. Because I'm desire to be seen, just like everybody on the planet has a need to be seen and validated, that doesn't mean I'm a narcissist, right? So we try to save this person in the narcissist that we couldn't save in ourselves. And our work is to pull in the reins, center, and save ourselves by being willing to, it's almost like we have to stop feeling so goddamn bad, because the world actually is a really good fucking place. And when we are in that pain body and we go, okay, somebody's being harmed right now, somebody's hurting, and how can I am betraying that world if I live a good life. So you might not even think that this goes on, but this is so deep embedded in the subconscious that we stay in that frequency just so we can be with the people who get it. But we can't be a person who gets it and keep it. If we go, okay, I get it now. Got it. I'm good. Right? We have to get it enough to go, I got it. I got it. I'm good on that. Learned the lesson, can see it for what it is. So what I want to just say is that I don't see my mother, who could diagnostically be called a narcissist. I don't see her as that. I don't really see her as a codependent anymore either. But it took me going from this way of going, holy shit, she's the narcissist, and now I have compassion, so I feel bad for her because she's actually the codependent. And now I have enough empathy to go, your codependency doesn't have to be mine, and I don't have to align with that frequency to love you. Right? I don't have to change you. I don't have to help you. I don't have to save you. Your way of being to keep you safe has done it for you thus far. And I love that. I love that that's true for you. But that's not my way of keeping myself safe. And I'm allowed to be safe in a different world. I don't have to pull you into my world. And I can love your world. I got your world. I'll carry your world. I'll hold your world for you. But I'm not going to get into it with you. So, guys, the most popular video on my thing is the codependent, the narcissist, who's what, or whatever. Stop trying to figure it out. Stop trying to figure it out. Become central in facing both aspects of yourselves and pull them inward and get really uncomfortable with true intimacy. Become the river instead of the block of ice or the puddle, right? There's a middle way, and this is what they talk about. There's a middle way, and there is a middle way for us. And the second we get in the middle, we're going to shoot up. Okay? And that's the you've been waiting for. Whatever shoots up based on that sprout where you go, okay, my seed is planted, I am center. You will create something in a whole new world, and you're, holy fuck. It didn't have to be that way all those years. It didn't have to be that way. And I am going to live in this new world, and that's going to be okay. And from that space, you'll be able to teach people how to live in this new world. But you got to pull it center. Center, center, center. It's like almost so elementary, it's annoying, because I think this is what a lot of people talk about, just like, okay, go meditate, get centered. But for us, it's like, this is what they're talking about. This is what being centered is. This is being the middle way, holding the duality, and riding upwards. Once you can hold the duality, it'll give you a lot of momentum in a really good way. So I hope this was helpful. Bye, guys.